Hey everyone, Mr. Mistake here. This is a guide for round 9 of the FIA Manufacturer Series taking place at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps with the Group 4 cars. Let's get this started. As you're about to start a new lap, you want to make sure that you set yourself up right on the bus-up chicane by going for a bit of a light apex so you can go for a faster exit. Bring yourself towards the left side of the track, and your first braking point is just after you pass the 100 meter board. You're going to be braking hard for a while and you want to go for a bit of a light apex. You also want to bring yourself towards the inside of the turn as there's a little bit of a dip and you can take advantage of that to help the car rotate a bit faster. You want the car pointing towards the next section of the track as soon as you can so you can quickly get on the throttle. For Eau Rouge Raidillon, it is possible to take it flat out. You want to take full advantage of the curb that is on the left and turn in when the curb on the left ends, bite a bit of the curb on the right, and as you go up Raidillon, just try to keep two wheels on the curbs. Take your time, bring yourself towards the left side of the track, and you're going to be looking for the 100 meter board on the left as you want to brake just as you pass it before the curb on the left starts. Brake hard for a short while, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in, and do lots of throttle control as you go through these turns. You want to make sure that the car can rotate around these turns while keeping a high speed. Then brake just before the curb on the left starts. Brake hard for a short while and carefully ease off of the brakes as it is easy to end up understeering and going wide through these turns. Nice and careful on the throttle, bring yourself towards the right, and you want to use just a little bit of braking through this turn. Brake a little bit earlier than what you normally think so you can get a nice clean turn. Stay on the right side of the track. Look for a black sign that is on the right as you want to brake before you pass it. Use around half of your braking power and make sure you touch this apex and carefully get on the throttle. Make sure you don't touch any of the turf. Bring yourself towards the left side of the track and you want to use the shadow that this sign makes as your next braking point. Brake hard for a short while, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in, doing lots of throttle control to try to maintain a high speed as you're hitting these apexes. Bring yourself towards the left and brake before the curb on the left starts. This one, you want to brake hard for a short moment and then ease off the brakes as you turn in, getting on the throttle as soon as you can and take this right turn flat out. For some of the more understeery cars, you may need to do a quick lift off of the throttle, and that's going to also apply to this left turn. For this left turn, you want to turn in once you pass this tire mark that is on the right. Try to take it flat out if possible, but if your car is a bit more understeery, you might need to do a quick lift off of the throttle. And your final braking point just as you pass the 150 meter board. Brake hard for a short while and take advantage of the apexes, trying to set yourself up for a fast exit through the final turn. But that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the strategies. And I do mean quick look at the strategies because there's actually not much to talk about here. So for the qualifying session, you only have 5 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time, and with how long Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is, you only have one chance to try to get a good qualifying time. So you want to make sure that your only qualifying time is a really good one. And due to how the rolling start is here at Spa, you want to make sure that you can at least try to qualify 4th place or above. But once you go out of the pit stops, you pretty much just want to go all out. Just try to get those racing hard tires warmed up, set yourself up once you finish your out lap to get a good start to your actual qualifying lap, and just pretty much perform your best. Slipstream will be useful here. You have a lot of high speed sections here at Spa, which means that if you're within 3/4 of a second behind someone as you're starting your qualifying laps, your car will be able to accelerate more, reach higher speeds, and that'll result in you shaving off a bit more time out of your qualifying lap. But this is a bit of a double-edged sword because with how long these high-speed sections are, you will most likely get really close to the car in front of you to the point where you could even be potentially bump drafting them as they're going down the Kimmel Straight. And as you go through the twistier parts of the track, if the car in front of you messes up, then you're going to get slowed down, so you lose a bit of time there. Or if their car is just not good through the twistier sections of Spa, then you're going to get held up and lose a bit of time. So Slipstream, while it does have its benefits, it can also backfire on you. So if you're in a lower level lobby, I would highly suggest just qualifying by yourself so you don't have to face the risk of getting interrupted for any reason. But if you're in a higher level lobby, Slipstream qualifying is going to be a thing. So you only have one chance to try to get a good qualifying time, so make sure it counts. But anyways, moving on over to the race section of the guide, we are doing 10 laps at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps with the Group 4 cars. Fuel is a ×3, so fuel is not an issue for most cars. And the tire wear is a ×4, so tire wear is not an issue for most cars as well. Now here's a weird issue with Spa. It's a rolling start, which means that people are going to be starting in the middle of the bus stop chicane. So I got pretty lucky and qualified just at the end of it, so I could pretty much just go flat out right away. But the person behind me, they started in the middle of the chicane, they had to go through it, and they're already 2 seconds back. So if this was the real FIA race, then they'd basically have no chance of catching up to myself, nor the Aston Martin in front of me. But I will put a bit of a disclaimer because the way the rolling start is in the lobbies, which is what you're seeing right now, versus the real FIA race is a bit different. So in the FIA race, it's whoever is starting in the top 4, they do not have to deal with the chicane. But if you're starting from 5th place to I think 8th place, you're starting in the middle of the chicane, so you have to deal with that. Bring the traction control up to 1 so you don't spin out at the very start of the race. And from there on, 9th place to last place, they're starting before the chicane and they have to deal with it. So basically, you need to qualify top 4 to have a chance of winning the race, because you'll basically, all 4 of you will be battling for first place. And for those starting in 5th place or below, once again, your quest to get first place is going to be a heck of a lot more difficult. But yeah, that's the weird issue with Spa and its rolling starts. I personally don't like it. I think it's dumb, but oh well. But anyways, so with this race, this is pretty much a no-stop race because, as I mentioned earlier, fuel is a ×3, so fuel is not an issue for most cars. If you're in cars that are poor on fuel like the Hyundai Genesis or the Ford Mustang, you want to keep an eye on your fuel to make sure that you don't run out of fuel at the very end of the race. You're looking at using 10% of fuel or less per lap in this race, because 100% divided by 10 laps is 10% of fuel used up per lap. And if you somehow do end up finding out that you're running a bit short on fuel, use a little bit of short shifting, but most definitely try to stay under someone's slipstream, because that'll be your best way to save a bit of fuel. And in terms of tire wear, not much of an issue as well, unless if you're in cars that are poor on the tire wear, like the front wheel drive cars. You want to pretty much just adjust your brake balance so you can try to even out the tire wear. So for my Dodge Viper buddies, brake balance, it should be at around +2 or +3. Both of those values going towards the rear of the car. The front tires on the Viper wear out a bit faster, so you want to try to protect those front tires and move the brake balance a bit more towards the rear of the car. And for those in the front wheel drive cars, brake balance, move it all the way to the back of the car, because you want to make those front tires last as long as possible, and hopefully they don't wear out on you too fast. And also, since we are on the racing hard tires, don't forget that when the race starts, your tires are going to be very cold, so you're not going to have that much grip to work with, so you do want to be a little more careful about how you're driving the car on the very first lap. After that first lap, you can then push a bit more. And last but not least, before I go on over to penalties and overtaking zones, Slipstream is going to be your best friend. So Slipstream is incredibly useful in qualifying, lets you go faster, and in the race itself, Slipstream is also incredibly useful, and with all these high-speed sections, it can be really easy to keep up with those in front of you. So for example, as you see here, I've been able to keep up with Stagger just by being under the Slipstream. So as long as I'm within the 3/4 of a second gap between myself and him, then he's not going to be able to lose me. I'm pretty much going to be able to hang out right behind him and enjoy a nice free tow. So definitely take advantage of the Slipstream. You can even use it to work together. So let's say you're going through the Kimmel Straight and you're really close to the car in front of you. You can give him a little bit of a bump draft and help both of you go even faster and try to get away from the pack behind you. Just make sure you don't do a bump draft just before you enter a braking zone, otherwise that's going to end up being a punt. And we'll skip on over towards the start of lap 8. I'm still in Stagger's Slipstream. He's giving me a nice free tow. Feel still looking pretty good, don't have to worry about that. Tire wear, it's a bit iffy, but for the most part it should be fine. Tire wear will be a bit of an inconvenience on some cars, so once again, adjust the brake balance to try to even out the tire wear. And with the Vipers, you want to try to make sure that those front tires last the entire race, because once that tire wear kicks in, it's going to make your life a bit more inconvenient. And I'm going to skip a bit towards this part because this is where I end up making a pretty big mistake. I end up going a bit wide, and I'm unfortunately going to end up losing Stagger's Slipstream. And with me not having his Slipstream anymore, he's going to go ahead and just run away from me because his pace overall is a heck of a lot faster than mine, and I was able to keep up with him because I was in the Slipstream the entire race up to this point, and he's just going to go ahead and run away from me now because I lost his Slipstream. So Slipstream, it is very important. So you want to also just be careful about when you do your battles, because if you get any long battle with someone, that does mean that you do risk losing the Slipstream of the pack of cars ahead of you. So if you get into a long battle, you have the risk of getting left behind by the pack of cars that were ahead of you. So choose your battles carefully. If you can make it fast and clean, make it fast and clean, because long battles, they're only going to hurt you a lot. And taking a very final look at the tire wear and fuel situation towards the end of the race, tire wear, once again, not too much of an issue, although I did find myself understeering a couple times. So once again, adjust that brake balance. Fuel, not an issue for my car. And yeah, pretty easy no stop race where you don't really have to worry about the fuel for most cars. And tire wear, most cars don't have to worry about that. And yeah, zero stop race. If anything, work on your qualifying pace so you can hopefully end up qualifying in the top 4. But anyways, let's go on over to the penalty serving zones and the overtaking zones. So the small main street that we just went through, that can be a place where you can get an overtake done, but do be aware that if you try to go for an overtake early on, the car you overtook can't take full advantage of you as you go down the Kimmel Straight. So right around here is where the car that you overtook can take advantage of the Slipstream and try to re-overtake you. So you want to try to save your overtake for the Kimmel Straight, which is right here where we are right now, and try to go for the overtake here. After that, it's going to more or less be a single file line along with a couple of potential overtake zones, which is going to be more of a situational thing. So for example, as we go down into Bruxelles, hopefully I'm saying that right, this place can be an overtaking spot, but it is very situational. So you don't want to always go for a move there, only if an opportunity presents itself. And another potential place to get an overtake done, which is more situational, is this part over here. If a car got a really bad exit out of the super long left turn, it is possible to go for an overtake into the S's. After that, it's going to be a bit more of a situational thing through this right turn, but for the most part, don't go for an overtake. I'd rather just save it until the very end of the lap, so I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to that now. And pretty much leading up to the bus up chicane with the use of Slipstream, you can use it to your advantage to try to go for an overtake through here. But that is pretty much it for the overtaking zones. For the penalty steering zone, you might have missed it. It is hanging out in the middle of Kimmel Straits, so after average ready on, the penalty steering zone is going to be hanging out right here. So if you have any penalty to serve, you'll be serving it right there. You will lose quite a bit of time because it is in the middle of a long straight. So try your best to not pick up any penalties. But that is pretty much it for this guide. Once again, this is a zero stop race where you pretty much just go all out, do a bit of brake balance adjustments to make sure that your car's tires don't wear out too much. And for the fuel shouldn't be an issue for most cars. But anyways, that is pretty much it for me. It is good to be back after this short break just to recharge my batteries. Nothing too serious going on over here, except, well, catching up on sleep and anime. But anyways, also I want to give huge thanks to every single one of you, as this channel recently hit 13,000 subscribers, so that is really awesome, and I just want to say thank you all for the amazing support. But anyways, that is pretty much it for me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. CA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.
削る